What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, I want to get bullish on bots for a second here. And before we even go any further on this, what I'm talking about when I say bullish on bots is the narrative around bots within the game of Splinterlands and then also within the broader narrative of Web3. Because keep in mind, right, a lot of this stuff has never really been done before when it comes to Web3. The team always says that, and they're right, right? There's very few projects and companies doing this out there at the same scale that Splinterlands is. And again, Splinterlands isn't the only one, but there are a lot of economies, even Web 2 game economies, where botting is just such a huge issue, and there's no even major financial incentive where people can immediately extract out of the game. So when I talk about the narrative here within Splinterlands, I just want to take you down a quick trip, down memory lane and see where we're at right now and where we could be at in the next couple of months once we get hopefully the modern bot ban proposal that will be enacted. So let's go back in time first. 13-ish months ago, I want to say we had about 400 to 500,000 daily active players, daily active accounts in the game. And by that time, we knew that it wasn't real, right? It had been a couple of months, maybe 4 to 5 months after Chaos Legion. We saw asset values tanking. It wasn't just Splinterlands, right? It was the entire market was going down. But we could tell that it wasn't really 500,000 players, 400,000, probably wasn't even 100,000 players. We could tell just with the community that was very actively engaging within Discord, within the town halls and YouTube and all of that. It just seemed like a much smaller community. So what happened a year ago, or roughly 13 months ago, we got the enactment of the new ranked rewards where you were required to own the cards, and we essentially got rid of the ghost card exploit. And that immediately cut things down. I think we went, it cut everything in half. We went from like 400,000, 500,000 to like 200,000 daily active players. Go on a little bit further. We got the modern and wild split. Again, that wasn't necessarily something that was done to fight bots. But later on, we got to the ranked the card leveling update that happened in fall of last year. I don't remember the exact date of when it happened. But when that did occur, the main change was if you're playing at the higher levels, you could still earn, right? You could still play all level 1 cards at the higher levels, but if you win, you get dinged on your rewards, right? So if you're using low level cards, you're going to get less rewards. And a lot of people were against that, and I can understand why, right? I can understand why, because it's like from a competitive standpoint, if you wanted, or if you could beat somebody with a lower level deck just because you were smarter about it, that's fantastic. But we had the ratings inflation issue, which actually still hasn't been addressed. But when they enacted that card leveling, it made sense at the time, and still does now, right? It's just I hope that we can address ratings inflation at some point in the future. But hopefully that'll be a ranked play overhaul that we'll get. We cut down the player size even more. Then comes Soulbound Rewards. That was January of this year, right? So we're coming in. We finished 2022. We're coming into 2021. 2023. I'm off on my years. And we get Soulbound Reward cards, and the numbers fall down even further. In fact, now I can start showing you this graph. We can go back 6 months to the beginning of the year, and you can see here we were still around that 200,000 range, and then boom, ever since then, it's been on a steady grind down. Now, a couple of months ago, or maybe a month or two ago, we passed the modern bot proposal, and things continue to slide down to the point where, let me go back to just the 1 month view here. There are days when we only have, less than 50,000 accounts active, right? On the most recent day here, what is this, June 20th? We have 53, just under 54,000 accounts that were active that day. Now, we keep going, we'll have these days where it spurts a little bit higher, but as you can see on the 6 month, anytime there's like a spurt higher, it usually leads to a lower low, meaning that, in my opinion, it's just accounts that are being consolidated, right? So somebody's logging into the account. They're not necessarily playing a battle, but they're logging into the account, maybe moving cards out, maybe moving SPS out, and then that card essentially that account essentially goes dormant from there. So here we're at. We have 90%, we're down 90% from where we were at a year ago with 500,000 daily active users to 50,000 daily active users. But I think everybody feels much more comfortable with this number because we know it's real, right? It's more authentic. And even still, there's a lot of alt accounts out there. I mean, I'm even running alt accounts myself. So you know that there's still alt accounts. There's still people probably farming, especially at the higher levels. There might still be a couple of bot farms out there that don't necessarily or aren't necessarily worried about extracting right now, but are focused on extracting, at some point in the future, maybe when soulbound reward cards do go live. They have a longer time preference. So again, I don't know if 50,000 is the real number. I don't think it is. I think it's still much, much lower than that, probably less than 5,000 in terms of real active people engaged. And obviously, we've been losing people even beyond that, right? So, even recently. So that brings us to this modern bot proposal. And what essentially is going to do is test out to see if the team can effectively remove all botting. So not just bot farms, but high level bots and maybe even battle helpers. And I don't want to necessarily get into the battle helpers thing because that's an area which is very related to bots, but it's not the same as bots. You're still required to be there. You're still required to play your game, so it can be automated. But from an anti-competitive standpoint, it's still very much in a gray area that I think needs to get addressed. But from just automating your account so that it plays for you at specified times and uses all your energy and gets you your ROI, we're hoping that that will be able to be tackled with this modern bot proposal. So what have we seen? We have seen the team effectively, very effectively, in my opinion, remove the incentives. They didn't go in and ban bots right away, but they removed the incentives for a lot of these farms that were coming in and just extracting massive amounts of value. I mean, some numbers were saying even as high as like 80 to 85% of the rewards they were earning at some point and then just dumping that onto the market. So we've done a great job, or the team has done a great job of doing this from the top down and not from the bottom up, just chasing all the different bot accounts and shutting them down and saying, you can play, you can't play. And essentially where we're at now is a place where I think the player base is in a much healthier vantage point from a numbers standpoint, right? We feel much better about the 50,000 active users, even if, it's not great for DApp Radar, it's not great for stats or marketing, but at the end of the day, I think we all feel much more comfortable with 50,000 active accounts rather than 500,000 active accounts. And that brings us to what this new bot ban proposal will be, which I should really be rebranding it as something different because it's not about banning bots. It's about creating a pro-human space, a human safe space, right? And my hope is that modern won't always be a place where you ban bots. If this is effective as an experiment, my hope is that the formats will be looked at differently in the future to say, well, we can have a wild decentralized format. We can have a modern decentralized format. And by decentralized, I mean bots are allowed, monkeys are allowed, whatever it is, whoever's behind the computer screen playing the game, they are allowed. But there will be spaces, both in ranked and hopefully in tournaments and brawls in the future as well. But for right now, ranked play, there will be a ranked format in which humans only are allowed and they are incentivized to come in and play that. How that looks, how long that takes, I don't know. But if this proposal is enacted in a successful way, the narrative around this, which I think could be really powerful as we are hopefully heading into the end of the bear market. I can't say that we're done yet, but it's been a long, brutal bear market. I'm hoping that we're at the end of it. The narrative around this will be that Splinterlands was effectively able to combat bots. Sure. Are a lot of people going to be upset that they didn't do things faster, sooner? Absolutely. But in my opinion, they did it in a way that was effective from an economy standpoint first. And then instead of just outright banning bots, it took a community proposal. And then it took Yabamat, one of the co-founders, and the rest of the team to collaborate with the community, with probably some of the services out there to figure out how do we go about creating not a space where we're banning bots, right? Or it's not about banning bots, but creating a space that we know and can control that is human only. And if that is effective, I think that could be one of the biggest marketing points for Web3 games in the future. As people come in, a lot of these Web3 games that are going to pop up, if they are bottable, they're going to be botted. If the rewards are good and the incentives are there, they're all going to face the same problem. And this is where this is where the maturity of a project like Splinterlands, I think, could really come in and separate it from the rest, right? I always talk about the downsides. I also talk about the downside risks of, like, Splinterlands is around, has been around, but we don't know, people like the new shiny object. And so that's an inherent risk. And I still call that out. I'm not trying to sweep that under the rug. But one of the benefits, or the flip side, it's a double-edged sword, is the fact that Splinterlands and its community and the DAO and all this have gone through this type of situation before, and have been able to come out the other side in a better place. So sure, will a lot of money potentially flood into a lot of these new shiny projects? Absolutely. But there was a period of time after the bear market, where after the bear market started, I still say, Aggie says it's April. I'm going to say November 2021, when all of a sudden the interest rates were they pivoted on interest rates, started raising them. There were many people who came in still in 2022 because they didn't think that the market was done yet. That they were looking around and trying to find other games. They had gone and explored other games. Those games had kind of rugged them, or whatever the case is, and so they came and found Splinterlands. I think that could be the case in the future, where even if Splinterlands isn't necessarily the leader up in front, there's going to be a lot of games that will run into problems. There's being a lot of bad projects out there that end up rugging, and there could be a lot of people that come in and see Splinterlands, if not the first option, then at least the second option, and come in and say, wait a second, like they've already dealt with the bot problem, right? They've already dealt with a lot of the issues and extractions, and a lot of these loopholes have been closed, and there's still a player base here and all that. So I look at this as one amazing way where, they talk about being able to turn one of your greatest weaknesses into a strength. This is what I'm thinking it could be, where the bot conversation has been the bane of so many people's existence, rightfully so, for the last year and a half, we'll say. People have been harping on this. And if the bot proposal, and again, I'm not going to call it a bot ban, but if the pro-human arena is successful in its implementation, and maybe not even on the first iteration, but if the team continues to innovate and add value to it, and people start to go there, I really think that this could end up being one of the biggest selling points for Splinterlands in the next bull run, because it shows history. It shows the fact that not just from a you can play, you can't play, but from an economy top-down standpoint, we got rid of a lot of the bot farms, and then for all of the high-level bots out there, the team was able to create a space. Again, keep the game decentralized, but create a space where people could come in and play the game and know that they were getting a fair shot at it. So again, I'm really excited about this. This bot proposal is something that has galvanized a lot of people. Yes, there's been a lot of frustration because it hasn't been implemented yet, but I would rather, once again, I'm impatient as hell. You guys hear that in my voice, in the frustration in a lot of the videos, but I would rather the team get it right. And I trust where Weirdbeard is trying to go when he talks about this on the town halls. Getting it right, even if it's not on the first try, but just having a plan of action to make it so that this pro-human space is effective, because I think if they're able to stick the landing on that, combined with everything else, this could be one of the biggest marketing points for Splinterlands in the upcoming bull run. And whether that bull run is starting now with Bitcoin about to hit 30K today, or it starts after the Bitcoin halving, or it starts in 3 years, I don't know. Whenever it does, and people start to look at crypto, people start to look at Web3 gaming, I think this could be one of the biggest selling points. So that is all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.